Well, Nathan Beal is already sentenced to nearly 32 years in prison for killing his ex-wife, Mary Schaefer. Now he could face even more time behind bars for allegedly killing a man he didn't know for practice.
Nathan Beal is back in court for another first-degree murder charge. He is accused of killing Andrew Bull in April 2 years ago. Andrew's death was just 2 weeks before his birthday.
You're not supposed to bury your children. You know, they're supposed to bury you.
Lori Bowers, Andrew's mom, says her family is eager for justice.
I just want him to be able to also be at peace. I don't feel like he's at peace yet.
At the time of his death, Andrew was living on Spokane streets, but his family wants him to be remembered for more than just that.
Just because he had some struggles doesn't mean that he wasn't loved by his sister and his brothers and his mom and friends.
Investigators believe Beal shot Andrew for practice just 4 months before killing his ex-wife. While Andrew's family is eager for justice, getting to the start of this trial is emotional.
I would be lying if I didn't say I was scared.
Despite the difficulty of facing the man who is allegedly responsible for Andrew's death, his family plans to be in court every day.
I'm here to, put a face to who, my brother is and was, and I'm hoping we all get, the justice and clarity, and hoping, for something good to come out of this.
Now, the jury selection didn't take very long. I confirmed this afternoon attorneys are expected to give their opening arguments in court tomorrow morning. Amanda Roley, KREM 2 News. Nathan Beal is now on trial for a second murder. And this morning, attorneys explained to the jury why they believe he is guilty or not guilty of Andrew Bull's death. Now, prosecutors said initially investigators had no idea who shot and killed Andrew, and they had no solid leads. That is until a few months later. Spokane police were investigating the death of Beal's ex-wife. During a search of the suspect's apartment, they found 9mm ammunition that was the same style of casing found near Andrew's body in downtown Spokane. Now, the prosecutor argues the results of ballistic testing on the firearm also found at Beal's apartment prove he is guilty of Andrew's murder. But Beal's defense attorney argues there is still not enough evidence to prove this beyond a reasonable doubt.
Through that testing, it concluded that the gun that was found in the defendant's apartment was in fact the firearm that was used to kill Andrew Bull.
What they did not find was a relationship between Mr. Beal and Mr. Bull. They did not find a credible witness that saw Mr. Beal that night.
Now take a look at this. This is video we are seeing for the first time. The detective on this case took the stand to testify this afternoon, and he strung together more than a dozen surveillance videos that he believes shows the suspect's walking route to and from the alley where Andrew's body was found. In one of the videos, you can also hear what prosecutors are saying is a gunshot. The defense attorney argues there are other people occasionally seen in some of the security videos, and it's not clear enough to be certain it was Beal in those videos. Now, prosecutors called on a few other witnesses today, including the victim's friend who found him in the alley in downtown Spokane and called for help, and a woman who lived near the area who testified that she heard that gunshot. Court will be resuming tomorrow morning. Reporting from the Spokane County Courthouse, Amanda Roley, KREM 2 News. Well, today attorneys dove into details that stood out to investigators in the string of surveillance video clips that previously presented to the jury yesterday. Now, prosecutors believe those video clips capture Nathan Beal's walking route to and from the crime scene in downtown Spokane. Now, the lead detective on this case compiled the surveillance videos from several businesses. He told the jury at one point he noticed the suspect crouching behind trash cans after passing someone else in an alley on his way to the crime scene. Now, the detective believes the suspect did this to canvass the area and select a victim. Another detective said the person in the video, who they believe is the suspect, had a noticeable duck walk. That detective later noticed Beal had a similar walk when they first met for an interview.
As soon as he started walking from the police car towards the building, there was an immediate similarity that I recognized as being close to that individual in the video. Specifically, the slight duck walk with the left foot pointed out. I was a little bit excited at that point because it kind of hit me like a ton of bricks. Like, whoa, this might be the individual.
Now, another Spokane police detective testified about the web searches found on Beal's cell phone. He said on 7 different instances, Beal's phone showed Google searches for terms including Spokane murder and Spokane homicide rates. Now, the defense attorney had a chance to question this testimony from each of these detectives today. She later argued that anyone could be concerned about murder or homicide rates in the Spokane community and simply look them up. As for the person seen crouching near the trash can, she argues they could have been doing something else, like checking and looking at their phone. Again, pointing out that the image of these videos is not clear enough to be certain that the individual they're pointing at in this case is Nathan Beal. Reporting from the Spokane County Courthouse, Amanda Roley, KREM 2 News. Well, Nathan Beal took the stand today to defend himself to the jury, but during his testimony, that's when some chaos broke out in the courtroom, and that's because the prosecutor claims Beal lied when he asked him if he ever fired the gun that was presented as evidence in this case, the murder of Andrew Bull. Now, this is important because in this murder trial for the death of Andrew Bull, attorneys cannot discuss the previous trial relating to the murder of Beal's ex-wife, which he was convicted of. Court documents for both cases say Beal used the same gun to kill his ex-wife and allegedly kill Andrew. During his testimony today, Beal maintained he never owned the gun and just had it in his apartment. Now, he admitted to giving his girlfriend the money to buy the gun and to put it in her name. Beal also told the jury he has handled the gun, but the prosecutor believes Beal lied about whether he ever fired the gun, and that's because Beal was already convicted of shooting the gun to kill his ex-wife. Here's the line of questioning Beal had with the prosecutor today.
Sir, is it your testimony that you have never fired this gun?
I fired guns at Emily's. No, I don't. I did not fire that gun at Emily's. I don't believe.
So the qualifier at Emily's. Have you ever fired that gun? Yes or no?
I don't think so.
Now, after this response, the prosecutor immediately asked to go to break, and that is when it got heated among the attorneys. Take a listen to what they argued to the judge.
He was asked by defense, did you shoot Mr. Bull? And now they're objecting. I'm asking if you ever shot the gun. She opened the door. She is the one that said, did you ever shoot Mr. Bull? I should be able to ask if you ever shot that gun. The defense opened the door, Your Honor.
He can ask it, but Mr. Beal says he didn't shoot the gun.
Now, this went on for another several minutes, and the judge spent about an hour then looking over case law to determine how to go forward. She ultimately ruled the prosecutor could come back and ask a very specific follow-up question that was completely off the table until now. That question being, has Beal ever been convicted of a crime related to shooting the gun in question? To which Beal did answer yes, but he didn't have to say anything more, including the fact that he was convicted of shooting that gun to murder his wife. Now, to be very clear, the jury has been kept unaware of Beal's prior murder conviction, and that's again because both trials have been asked to be tried separately. Now, the defense rested its case after Beal's testimony today. Court will resume Monday morning, and those attorneys will then give their closing arguments. Well, the jury spent nearly 5 hours in deliberations today. They had to determine if prosecutors presented enough evidence to prove that Nathan Beal is responsible for the death of Andrew Bull. Tonight, they unanimously decided Beal is guilty of first-degree murder. But before reaching that verdict, attorneys had one last shot at convincing the jury of Beal's involvement in Bull's death. In closing arguments this morning, Spokane County Prosecutor Dale Nagy discussed all the evidence presented in the case. He reminded the jury that the shell casing found at the crime scene was fired from the same gun found in Beal's apartment. The string of more than a dozen surveillance video clips compiled by detectives is another major element in this case. The videos helped investigators identify the time of the gunshot and tracked the suspect's walking route to and from the crime scene in the downtown Spokane alley.
There's only one other person in that alley besides Mr. Bull when Mr. Bull was shot, and you saw pictures of the alley. It's a very small, narrow alley.
Defense attorney Stephanie Cady later told the jury she believes prosecutors did prove that Andrew Bull was shot and killed, but she says they did not prove it was Beal who committed the crime. She argues that's because they provided no evidence tying Beal to the crime scene or to the victim.
In everything that the state offered, they found no DNA at the scene belonging to Mr. Beal, nothing tying him to that alley, nothing. No blood on the firearm, no witness that identified Mr. Beal at the scene or even downtown ever.
For the jury to convict Beal of first-degree murder, they must unanimously agree his intent was premeditated. That intention was to kill Andrew, and the victim died because of the defendant's act. The jury also had the option to convict Beal with a lesser charge of second-degree murder, but ultimately they gave a verdict of guilty to first-degree murder. Andrew Bull's family has been in the courtroom every day of trial, and they were in the courtroom today when the verdict was read. Now, although they were emotional about the conclusion of this trial, they told me they are very happy the jury found Beal guilty of Andrew's murder. Reporting from Spokane County Courthouse, Amanda Roley, KREM 2 News.